Hello everyone. Today I want to talk about something which is a big part of my life and has been a big part of my life for close to 30 years, I would say, which makes me quite old. And I want to talk about reflexology. What is reflexology? What does it do? And so on. And I want to take you back to a story. I'm going to get rid of this big bulge in my pocket, the wrong kind of bulge. I want to take you back 30 years to when I first got introduced to reflexology, or zone therapy at the time. And it's an interesting story. I have said it in a few of my books, but I think it's always better if you hear it from the horse's mouth. And I want to take you back to probably 1990, maybe, something like that. Something, I don't know, something along those years. And I was bodybuilding at the time and quite heavy lifting and all that kind of stuff. And I started getting a really big back problem. And then I was washing cars in the summer, and that was making it worse. And then one day I stopped to help this woman and push her car, and my back just went, and it was really bad after that. And nothing would get rid of it. So, you know, if you've got back problems, you know what it is. So you wake up in the morning, you got pain, or you might have it during the day, or you might have it at night. And I just tried everything, and nothing would get rid of it. Nothing at all. So you name it, massage, physio, steroid injection in my back, everything and anything short of surgery, which I didn't want to have. I think I was 18, 19, something like that. And anyway, I had it and it wouldn't go away. And I went to law school and started studying law, and I still did a bit of lifting and all this, but it was really affecting me quite badly. And one day I was speaking to a lady who was one of my colleagues, Anna, and she said, "Go and see Joe, he'll fix your back." And I was like, "Who's Joe?" Joseph Corvo. And I said, "Okay, fine, I'll try anything." So now Joseph Corvo at the time was the zone therapist, reflexologist, zone therapist. Zone therapist is a bit more powerful, I would say, of a person than a reflexologist, but that's just my opinion. I'm sure I'm going to get emails from reflexologists now. And he was treating everyone, royalty, Princess Di, Rula Lenska, actress, Duchess of York, loads and loads of people. Lovely man, amazing man. So anyway, she said, "Go and see Joseph Corvo, he'll fix your back." And I said, "Okay." So one day I went to see Joseph Corvo. I booked an appointment, and I arrived at his flat in Lancaster Gate, kind of Queensway way. And his wife, who was French, Victoria, she said, "Get in the room and take your shoes and socks off." And I thought I'd misheard. Shoes and socks off? I'm here for my back. What is she talking about? So I went in the room, sat on the bed, didn't take my shoes and socks off. And a few minutes later, Joseph came in, and of course the first thing he said was, "Why are your shoes and socks not off?" And I said, "Why? I'm here for my back." And he said, "It doesn't matter, just take your shoes and socks off." So I was like, okay, I mean, hey, why not? So he proceeded to get a probe, which I have one minute. In fact, it's always close to me because I always use it. So he proceeded to use a probe much like this on my foot. And I made this with his help actually 30 years ago now. He passed away a few years ago. But anyway. And so he would use a probe like this on my foot, on the parts of my foot. And some parts were so painful. The pain was excruciating. I was screaming the whole flat down. And he began to explain to me what he's doing. So, well, before I do this, let me just explain something else. So, he was very charismatic, extremely charismatic. And I think that charisma helped with believing in him. Because, you know, if you meet someone and they're like, "Oh, I think this is going to be, do you know what I mean? You wouldn't have any faith in them at all. So, and that's a lesson for you, by the way. If you're doing something, if you're selling something, if you've got anything, you've got to be charismatic, or you've got to at least not be timid, because no one's going to believe in you. People want leaders. People who have problems, people who have issues, they're looking for people to lead them and guide them. They're not looking for kind of losers and people unsure of themselves. Anyway, Joseph Corvo was probably one of the most charismatic people I've ever met. And very knowledgeable, extremely knowledgeable, extremely humble. I mean, this man charged £7 to see people, £7 to see royalty, to see film stars, £7. It was just crazy. He could have charged 1,000 at that time. So very nice guy, extremely humble, knew loads of people, knew Arnold Schwarzenegger, knew Charles Atlas, one of the most well-known bodybuilders at the time. And of course, I was bodybuilding at the time, and we used to talk about loads and loads of stuff to do with bodybuilding. And so he explained to me what he's doing that day. Now remember, that is 30 years ago, and no one had heard of reflexology at the time, and nobody knew what it was. And you know, you think people are skeptical now, which they are. Whenever you mention things like that, they're always, oh, what is that? So at that time, imagine the skepticism. So he explained to me what he's doing. So if you imagine you've got, and by the way, I have never claimed to be an artist, so please forgive me for this drawing. Oh dear, dear. So if you imagine this is your foot, and this is your toe, and well, your foot should really have an arch, unless you've got flat feet. So let me just put an arch here. And this is your kind of arch of your foot. So he explained to me that the foot represents your spine, the side of your foot. But anyway, I mean, I haven't done a very good job here. But so the top of your foot, where your toes are, is your neck area. And as you come down, this is your middle of your back, mid-back, and this area is your lower back. And then you come down to your coccyx, and this is really the base of your spine. So if you have an issue with your back, if you have any back pain, then, I mean, remember, this was the first time I was dealing with him, so I really didn't know anything about it. Nowadays, or I went on to find out what's wrong with people's backs just from pressing their feet and their hands. So it's so accurate, this thing is so accurate that I can tell you without you telling me what's wrong with your back or what area or whatever, by just pressing the points on your feet and your hands. Your hands reflect the same thing. So depending on where your problem is, if you've got middle back problems, there will be points that will be painful on the side here, neck up here and back up there. Now there is a lower back area as well, which he was also working on with me. So if you imagine this is the other angle of your foot from the side, from this side here, Jesus, I'm really not good at drawing, and this is your little bone here. This area is your lower back helper. So if you've got back issues, then you've got a little bone here. Just next to it here will be quite painful because that's your lower back area. Now, so the first session was, I don't know, about half an hour, and he would get his probe and he would just be probing my foot, and some areas would be extremely painful. And he carried on with it. So the theory was he would press and I would scream the house down, and he would let go, he would go to another point, and he would come back and press, and so on. And well, I had no other choice, and I liked the guy. So the first session I let him give me quite a lot of pain with his silly little probe, and I went home and nothing happened. In fact, if anything, I was a little bit worse, I would say, during that week. Saw Anna during the week, and she said, look, persist with him, go back, he's a genius, da, da, da. So I went back the next week. The next week I went back, same thing, lots of pain. Pain moved a little bit, so it was a few different areas, lower back helper and so on. But he knew what he was doing, that's the whole point. He had a gift, I would call him a healer even, but whatever you want to call it. So he knew what to do, he knew how to press and all that. And second week, pain started to go down. Third week, pain started to go down. On my back, I'm talking about, and on my foot. I think it was 5-6 weeks, completely gone. The pain was completely gone. Everywhere. On my foot, because he was pressing so hard. It's kind of like teasing it. You tease it a little bit, then you press harder. So the objective was to press as hard as you can, and you're kind of teasing the pain out, and then after a few days of recovery, that area becomes less painful. Now, I started off by saying, what is reflexology? I'm actually going to zone therapy, but similar kind of thing. But zone therapy is more powerful. So zone therapy uses a probe, very few people do zone therapy, and really goes in, whereas reflexology uses the hands, and It's not as effective, I would say. Sorry, any reflexologists out there. In my opinion, it's not. Because I've seen Joseph Kovo and I've seen reflexologists because I've been trained by reflexologists. I was trained afterwards. So Joseph Kovo started to talk to me and teach me and tell me all about zone therapy and all that kind of stuff. And I was very interested. I was super interested. I love the body and things like that. So I learned zone therapy from him. And this is 30 years ago. And I went on to qualify as a reflexologist in a very well-known school. Quite high qualifications, and I went on to work on loads of people over the years when I was doing law and paying for my law school and all that kind of stuff. And I've worked on a lot of people, from people that have had surgery in Russia. There was a guy in our classroom that basically couldn't stand up because he was in so much pain. Post-surgery, 2 surgeries in Russia. So I've worked on a lot of people, and every time is the same with the back. I'm talking about with the spine. If you've got a back problem, 99% I can get rid of it. Now you're saying, why aren't you doing that full time, Param? Because it doesn't make me as much money, and I don't want to be touching feet all day. But the point is, this works. Hence why I wrote the book, The 10-Minute Back Pain Cure, which a lot of people look at and they think, oh, whatever, mate, you're going to get rid of my back problem in 10 minutes. Yes. 10 minutes a day will get rid of your back problem if you follow it and if you follow this, the routine behind it, basically what you have to do. Now, of course, if you really want to go deeper into it, Jesus, this board is a bit... Zone therapy or reflexology is about a lot more than just the back. So you've got your whole foot, pardon the drawing, and you literally have your whole body mapped out on your foot. So you've got your head here, you've got your eye sinuses here, your ear sinuses here, you've got your intestines here. So you've got your whole body, you've got your heart, you've got your lungs, you've got your shoulders, you've got your whole body mapped out on your foot. And any problems that you have can be treated from your foot using reflexology or zone therapy. I'm not telling you this because I've read a book and I'm telling you about what I've read. I'm telling you this because I'm 48 and I've been doing this pretty much, I don't know, I started when I was 19 or something, so close to 30 years. And I've worked on loads of people. Now, I would say it's much easier to treat shoulder problems and back problems and much quicker than intestinal problems and things like that, in my experience anyway. But zone therapy, reflexology, I mean, just to tell you the difference between the two of them, because I would consider myself a zone therapist rather than a reflexologist, because personally I have a lot of experience. This sounds really bad. Personally, I have a lot of experience with this. Personally, I've used, well, this Pro is 30 years old, so probably needs a good clean. I've got a lot of experience with zone therapy and actually really going in the way Joseph Kovo used to go in to really get rid of long-standing problems. Reflexologists are a little bit more holistic, so they will work on the whole body. So if you go to a reflexologist, they'll work on your intestines, they'll work on your middle body, they'll work on your shoulder, they will do your whole body, and they may not necessarily press very hard on your problem area, because legally they're not supposed to tell you that they can cure things and this, that, and the other. But zone therapy, on the other hand, is not really that concerned with your whole body, and that was Joseph Kovo. So if you go to see Joseph Kovo for a back problem, if you were one of the very, and I would say that, very lucky people to have met him, he wouldn't be bothered with other bits. If you've gone for your back problem, he would just go straight to your back and he would try and fix your back. And that's what I learned from him. And I think it's very, very powerful, and you shouldn't neglect it. And if you're interested in health, in your body and in being well, I would seriously suggest you look at reflexology. And don't dismiss it. Don't dismiss it. You know, it's like the hair thing that I told you about in another video, that this regrows your hair. So many people wrote to me, oh, we're going to try it, we're going to really go for it and all that. And the few that did, 2-3 months later, I've got their DMs and their emails. Thank you so much, I've got new sprouts coming and all that. That's what it's all about. Even with zone therapy or reflexology, if you do it a little bit and you don't do it too hard, or you're afraid of pain and all that, you're not going to get any results. What you need to do is what I've just explained, which is I mean, it's a bit more complicated than just that, but it's that hard pressure and persistence. If you are interested in zone therapy or reflexology, and in particular, if you have back problems, and I wasn't planning on making this a plug for my book, but why not? Since I have got it out there and it is a good book. Read The 10-Minute Back Pain Cure by me. I've put down everything I know about getting rid of back pain through zone therapy. And it works. Before you say, oh, how can it work and all that kind of stuff. In a way, I feel a bit sad and sorry for people because the world is about medicine and doctors and all that. So if I told you I could get rid of your back problem within 5 weeks with this, where would all those medicines be? Where would all those doctors be? Where would all those machines be? Where would all that surgery be? So the whole world is geared up to be anti-simple methods and simple things. So in that sense, I can understand your skepticism because you've been brought up with this thing of, oh, how can this work? If this worked, then why doesn't your doctor tell you another? Well, because your doctor is not a zone therapist. So trust me, I'm not a doctor when I tell you zone therapy works, especially for musculoskeletal problems like shoulder and back and things like that. But you have to be persistent with it. I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's a little bit different from entrepreneurship, but in a way I feel like doing more of this because I know so much about this stuff. I would even say maybe more than entrepreneurship, but I guess you want to make money more than fix your back, right? Well, let me know. See you later.